Hello and welcome to the Savvy Safety Sisters Partners in Prevention podcast. I'm your host, Carrie Pasquarello of Global Secure Resources, and we know one of the best ways to make a difference in preventing victimization is to bring stories from around the world in hopes of bringing awareness to help keep you and your family safe. Now, we want to empower our listeners with education and advocacy by experts. And today's guest is Bernadine Cruz. She's tuning in from Laguna Niguel, California. Now, she's a veterinarian that turned into an entrepreneur and founded a fantastic business, Comingo Luggage. So welcome, Bernadine.
Thank you, Carrie. I really appreciate being here. I always learn so much from you whenever we chat.
Well, you're so sweet, and it's so great to see you today. So now we're looking forward to a great summer, and we can make it even more memorable and fun by learning a few strategies to enhance our safety and security, making for an awesome summer. Now, our goal is to teach skills to avoid wasting time and wasting money and wasting energy, so you can kick back and enjoy and relax and reconnect with all the people you love in your life. So let's start off with some facts. And these are some startling facts, but there's an estimated over 300,000 annual deaths caused by drowning worldwide. Now, drowning is the third leading cause of unintentional injury deaths worldwide, accounting for about 7% of all injury-related deaths. So how can we close that safety gap? I'm constantly talking about safety gaps and how to close them, but Bernadine, let's talk about how we can be safer and better at the ocean. And you're right there on the ocean.
I am, and it's something that I totally respect because you never know what's going to happen. There can be riptides out there, and you think you're a strong swimmer, or you get tired while you're out there. There's so many different reasons why there can be problems. But Carrie, one of the things you mentioned, I being a veterinarian, pets are truly become part of the family. Usually you don't take the cat to the beach, but you may take your dog. And if it's a little dog, it may not be a good swimmer. Not all dogs can really swim. You look a little Frenchy, you look at an English bulldog, and they will sink before they're going to swim. So if you take your pet with you, be careful with them. If you're going boating, and children on boats, dogs on boats, even cats, you can get a little safety vest for them. So in case, oops, they do fall in or they're at the beach, always have that on them. It's just easy to see. You can grab them in case they get into trouble.
That's a really great point. We have so many pet owners that are going out and they're going to pools and they're going out to the ocean. And that's a really important point to emphasize is get your pet one of the safety devices just to be extra careful. Now, as we're talking about children, this is our biggest group that we're worried about. And I think, there's a few skills that we can actually impart on our children. And the most important is the basic swim and, teaching swimming. We have to start at young ages. And we've seen those videos of people teaching infants to swim. This is brilliant. And you just never know when that skill might be important for them to use. Now,
And
some of
Carrie,
the
if you
other
have a pool in your backyard, excuse me, one of the things that's always great, you have children who might, even if you have a gate, they learn how to go over, under, whatever, and they'll get in there sometimes, and so will pets. But I know they have the little devices that you can float in a pool, and if the surface of the water gets broken by a child, by a pet, by a duck, it will go ahead and set off an alarm and forewarn the people that, oh, there's something going on, you need to look.
Right. And that brings me to a really important skill to know, and that is CPR. We want everybody to take the time this summer, learn CPR. It might just save one of your loved ones. We have to be ready and prepared. We don't want to be scared, but we want to be prepared. So learn CPR. Get life jackets for those who don't know how to swim strong. Make sure that if you're at the beach, that you have some type of flotation device, because what we have seen in the past is somebody will go in and try to rescue somebody, and then we have two people that are unfortunately drowning because they couldn't get back out of the water and they weren't able to save the person they were intending to save. So always have an extra flotation device. But that also brings me
And Carrie,
to,
as you were saying about
yes.
CPR, awesome. And you can do CPR on a cat and a dog. So you can learn through your veterinarian, you can go online. There are organizations that put on CPR classes. A very good friend of mine, Arden Moore, does CPR classes, and you can do mouth to snout resuscitation. Are you always going to revive them? No, but you try.
Yes, that's a really good point. And, interestingly enough, a number of years ago, I had to do the Heimlich maneuver on my dog. And, I do know how to do the Heimlich maneuver on people and CPR, but I had to go into action. He had choked on a hot dog, and I was able to do that maneuver, and he was fine. But wow, what a scary episode. You
Yeah.
just have to be proactive and prepared, and to be able to protect your family. So that's a really, really good point. So back to the pools, we want to make sure that we have fences. We want to make sure pools are enclosed, but also breaking the grip of the rip. How many people really understand the top two ways? If you're caught in a rip current and it's taking you out into the ocean, I always say there's two things we want you to do. We want you to stop and not panic, because panic can cause people to drown. So if you don't panic and then you swim parallel to the shore, you can get out of that rip and come in and be able to successfully get out of that rip tide. It's just so important to understand those two ways to really protect yourself. But we have to really take the time to talk with our friends and our families to close those safety gaps as we're going to the beach, we're going to the pool, just to have a 30-second conversation. Hey, do you know how to break the grip of the rip? Hey, do we have an extra flotation device? Hey, what is everybody's strength in swimming? Are you a good swimmer? Do you need help? We have to have our eyes on our friends and family. And one of the interesting things that I always take from lifeguards is the 10-20 rule. Do you know what the 10-20 rule is,
No, I
Bernadine?
don't. Yeah.
So the 10-20 rule is that you want to be scanning the people every 10 seconds. And you have to be able to get to that person within 20 seconds. So let's say you're a mom and you have 3 children and they're playing in the pool. You have to make sure that you're not distracted, because it literally takes seconds to lose somebody, right? So we're always scanning. We're making sure that we see all of our children. We're keeping an eye on them. And then if something happens, we want to be able to run, to be able to get to them within 20 seconds. That is our time frame, and it's quick. And we can't rely on lifeguards. We're happy to have lifeguards there, but we also can't say that the lifeguard is watching our children. We need to actually participate as well. We need to help the lifeguards be able to scan these pools, because sometimes you'll have a lot of kids in a pool. How do you keep them all safe? So it really is something we have to take the time and make sure that we're supervising our children really well this summer. Are there
Not a
any,
time to read your summer book while you're sitting there. You should be watching the kids.
what's
Exactly.
that?
Or other people do, not even just kids.
Oh, right, exactly. Yes, no distractions. I mean, this is a
Mhm.
full-time job. You have to watch
Yep.
your children. And like I say, if we go back to those statistics every single year, how many people we're losing to drowning? It's important that we take this time and just talk about this. So I am so excited about swim sessions and going to the ocean and going to the pool, but I'm going to take my strategies, tools, and techniques and make sure my family's safe, and I hope you do too.
And don't be embarrassed. I am a wussy swimmer. I know it. And I love snorkeling. I don't dive, I stay on the surface. So many times I will be on one of these dive boats, in Hawaii, and you're out in the middle, not that far away from the shore, but further than I can swim. So I literally will take with me on my luggage one of the ski belts. It's not a great flotation device. I like it better than the Mae West. It's just around my waist, and it's just that little bit more confidence that I have. I feel so much more better in the
Yeah.
water that way.
Oh, I agree. And another great strategy to practice is the dead man's float. Have you ever
Mhm.
done that? See how
Yes.
long you can just float, just inflate your lungs, lay back, and see how long you can float. Floating is really important. That's how, when we see people fall off cruise ships in the middle of the ocean, and we've had military men fall off their Navy boats, and sometimes they've lived, 48 hours by just floating. And so this is really one of those strategies you really want to practice. Now let's move on to our summer travel, because I know we have so many people that are going to be taking off and traveling, whether domestically or internationally. Now, I know you just got back from a phenomenal trip. I'd love for you to share a little bit about your trip that you took to Asia.
I went to the Mekong River, did a river cruise, and it was going through Vietnam and Cambodia, two countries that are so similar and very, very different. It was fabulous because we were going into small towns, literally going into people's homes, learning about their culture, their food. It was spectacular, extremely hot, but it was spectacular. I would strongly recommend it.
That sounds like a phenomenal trip. Now, I spent a number of years, I lived 4 years over in Asia, loved every bit of it, got around to visit a lot of communities, and I highly recommend traveling to Asia. But I always like to start off with 3 questions before you leave. And I know you've heard me talk about these 3 questions before, right? And I think I'll start. So the first is I want everybody to know the equivalent 911 number of where you're traveling to. So if you're going over to Europe, the number is 112. Each country has their own. If you go to Mexico, it's the same, 911. But I want everybody to understand that emergency contact number. Next, I'd like you to sign up for the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. Now, this is a free program put on by the State Department. You put your itinerary in, you put your passport information, and what they can do is they can push notifications if there's any type of event that you should be aware of, whether it's environmental or whether it's protests in the area that you are, these types of things. And last, I want you to confirm your medical insurance. And I always add on MedJet because I love MedJet. I travel domestically, internationally, and I want to know that I can get from one hospital to my hospital back home seamlessly. And so that's exactly what I do. So following these 3 top questions, I want our travelers to be safe and secure no matter where they go in this world. And do you have some other tips you'd like to share with international travelers or
I think
domestic travelers?
I love the fact having everything backed up and checking your documentation. On this trip, I was actually going with a travel buddy, and we were meeting in San Francisco. I'm in Southern California. She's in Northern. We'll meet in San Francisco and we'll fly out together. So as I arrive, all of a sudden I get a phone call from her going, "Yay, we're going." She goes, "I'm not going. I'm so sorry." It's like, what? Her visa had been filled out inappropriately. It was off by a day.
Mm.
So we had planned way ahead of time. We'd gotten our visa, but always double check your paperwork, have everything backed up, give friends and family a copy of your itinerary so they know exactly where you are. I love the STEP program. I use that all the time, and making sure that you have things backed up on your phone. I'm still old fashioned. I take paper copies of things because all of a sudden your phone runs out of juice. What are you going to do? Oh, you can pull out your piece of paper.
Right. So important to keep those ideas in mind. Also, I like to add in Invisaware. Oh, I wanted to show you my new necklace. This is by Invisaware, and I love it because this is my emergency contact SOS button. Can you believe this? Look how gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
So
Yes.
if I double click the back, just 2 clicks, nobody knows that I'm doing it. And what that will do is by Bluetooth, it will connect to and send a message to my emergency contacts. So I have it going to my best friend and my husband. So they will know exactly where I am, that I'm in need of help. And then they can call, check on me. If I don't answer, at least they have a place to start to try to find me and try to send help. So this is a wonderful little necklace that I love. And another thing I want individuals to do is check the advisory levels and also the risk indicators. Go onto our State Department website and go ahead and check, read up on your destination. Really important to do your own research. At Global Secure Resources, we do our individual travel assessment plan. So we spell out everything that you need to know before you go with in-depth research. And we do this for individuals and also corporations. But that's just another thing that you can do to make sure that you're staying safe no matter where you are. And another interesting thing I'd like to bring up is these are data blockers. So as you're out traveling the world and you need to juice up your phone, well, unfortunately, scammers have started juice jacking. And so as you plug in your phone, if you have a data cable, what it can do is actually go into your phone and remove files, pictures, and also put in malware into your device. So this blocks it, data blocker. I love these. You can get them on Amazon. So just a quick couple of tips. And that goes under our cybersecurity for our travel. So important,
That's so
right?
important. Because things you don't think about, yes, we want to stay connected. You're at an airport, you just go ahead and you jump onto that free Wi-Fi, and people can hack you. They can get into your phones. So having these private VPNs, such a good idea. Being your own hotspot. You have such good ideas, Carrie. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's true because the reality is traveling internationally can leave significant gaps in your digital safety. So we want to make sure we're closing those safety gaps, whether it's with the data blockers or using networks with passwords is another really important one. Maybe bringing your own hotspot while you travel might be what you want to do. I do that when I travel. Using a VPN is really important. And then also, I didn't bring it with me here, but I have a new device that I'm using, and it actually removes all the pictures from my cell phone onto a device. That way, when I take my phone out of the country, if worse, God forbid it happens, I lose my cell phone, I will have all of my things backed up back at home on a device. And that makes it really a smooth way to travel as well. And also, as we're talking about cell phones, don't ever let anybody have possession of your phone. If somebody comes up and they want to look at your phone, whether it's for you're paying with your phone, or maybe you're showing a receipt on your phone, like a ticket that you're trying to get into somewhere along your travels, don't actually give your phone. You keep possession of your phone, because unfortunately these scammers and these cyber criminals can take your phone, and with a few different steps, they can get into your PayPal, they can get into your Venmo, they can get into all different places on your phone and maybe send themselves something or actually download something on your phone that you don't want on your phone. So just make sure you keep possession of your phone. And that brings me to another really important tip. Don't get Apple picked. And this is a big scam that's going around, but people are out there doing distraction crimes, trying to get people's cell phones. So if you're using your cell phone, you set it down on a cafe table and somebody taps you on your shoulder and you look to talk to them, they might have an accomplice on the other side stealing your phone, and off they go. So we want to make sure that our luggage is secure, our cell phones are secure, our personal belongings are secure. And while we're talking about this, I have to talk about one of your products. Let's talk about your bag. I love it.
Well, I totally agree with you of keeping everything safe and close. And I try not to look too much like a tourist when I'm traveling, but we all do. But I personally don't like backpacks. So that's why I designed the Conmigo Ulti bag. It's a crossbody bag. You can use it as a briefcase, but I like it as a crossbody bag because if I'm in a crowded area, I can keep that bag in front of me. It has a place for your phone on the shoulder strap. So we can all hear our mom saying, stay, safe, have your phone close by. So you can grab it right now if you need it. Typically on the bag, I'll put a screamer, and I need to get one of the Invisalign um, pieces of
Invisaware.
jewelry. Invisaware. It
Invisaware.
is
I love
beautiful.
it.
Yes. But I have a screamer, and it's just a small little device that it has a little flashlight too, inexpensive. I can pull this little pin and it puts out an obnoxious noise. So hopefully somebody goes, let's see, I can bother this person, or let's go someplace else that's not making so much noise. But there's lots of compartments. You can easily keep things and you stay organized. And if your shoulder gets tired, it does have a trolley sleeve so you can put it on your pull luggage. But I've taken it all over. I beat the bejeebers out of it, and it's just really served me well. People seem to like it. And thank you. I know you have one and you use yours quite a bit too.
Yeah, I just love mine. I'm wearing it all the time, and it's just one of those important things. I like to jog. I like to go run. I'm by myself, and I want that extra level of safety and security so that I don't have to pull out my phone, because we know that if you're faced with a criminal, they might whack that phone right out of your phone, right out of your hand. So I always like to have this extra step where nobody knows what this is except for my friends, and I'm calling for help without anybody knowing. So this is really wonderful. Now, as we're talking about petty crime and scams, what are some of the things that you've seen during your travel as far as petty scams and crimes?
Ah, taxis. You get to the airport and oftentimes you're tired. You've just had maybe an 11-hour flight someplace, whatever. You just want to get to your hotel, check in, you're done. And all of a sudden somebody, says, "Oh, I can help you with your bags. I can go ahead and take you to a taxi. Don't worry about all those people waiting in line. I will take care of you." Don't do that. Don't give your luggage to somebody else to carry, because as you're looking over here, as you're saying, they take off with an accomplished, and there goes all of your clothing, everything that you need. It's gone. So
Right.
that's not good. When you're at a new airport and you're looking around, look for taxi lines. Or one of the things that helped me so much when I made it to Saigon, I was supposed to have somebody pick me up there. They weren't there. So as I'm looking around, looking like the distressed single person on my own, thankfully and they had documentation on them that I could tell this was an airport security assistant. So what do you need, ma'am? Where are you going? They were able to get me a taxi, and I knew that it was safe. So ask questions, look around, keep your eyes open.
Yeah, that's some really good advice. One of my tips is when you're traveling around, instead of stopping at a taxi stand, if there is a 5-star hotel, 4-star hotel, walk up to the hotel and have their valet call you a taxi.
Mhm.
Oftentimes they're working well with credible taxi companies. And so when they're calling taxis to take their clientele around the city, they're at a higher level and they're trustworthy, more so than just picking something up off the street. I know while I was in Bangkok, and I would pick up a taxi at the JW Marriott, the taxi hailer would actually write down the taxi driver's license, the car number, and hand it to us as we would get into the car. So that's giving you an extra added level of safety and security while you're traveling around, knowing what their license plate number is, knowing that you're getting into a car that has a proper driver. These are all really important. Also, another thing is the JW would have the cars come in. If the taxi wasn't, they just wouldn't let any taxi come up to pick up their clients. So let's say it was a taxi that might not look like it has had maintenance done to it. So they might not allow it to come and take clients away. So these are some things that we want to be proactive on our side, making sure that we're getting into reliable taxis, making sure that we're able to go from point A to point B in a safer mode. So it's always good to double check and know these little tips. So another
One
thing
thing,
I'd like, yes?
one thing also, we all want to save money when we're on a trip. And you may be approached by somebody goes, "Oh, you want to take this tour? You want to see this site? I have a great deal for you. Come over here to my stand and I'll make sure we can sign you up. You can put a deposit down now and we'll pick you up at your hotel tomorrow," whatever the situation is. And oftentimes that's a scam. So I love your idea. If you're staying at a hotel, ask the concierge, ask the desk person, "How do I do this? Where can I go?" Many times you can set these things up at home before you even leave. There's so many different online companies. Get a Guide is one that I use a lot. And you know that it's safe and it's already set up for you.
Right. Yep. Doing a little due diligence on your
Mhm.
side, making sure that you're more successful in your travel. This is true. We do want to save time. We do want to save money. And one of the best ways is not to get into vehicles that we don't trust. Also, making sure that we're not losing our passport, our wallet. We have to be very cautious with pickpocket people around this world. And you can't pick out what one looks like. They can be a grandmother, they can be a businessman, they could be a mother with children. It's one of those things that we have to be very cautious. If you're at a cafe, do not put your purse on the back of the chair. Do not set it on the floor by your feet. You have to have some form of possession of it. So when I'm out eating, I'll hang my purse off my knee. So it's connected to my knee. or I have it next to me and my, I'm sitting on partial of it. And that brings me to your bag, which I love, the Comingo, because it has that safety feature of the seat cushion that comes out of your bag, and you can sit on it. So nobody's going to take it and run away with it because you're sitting on a portion of the bag that's made for sitting. That's a brilliant idea. One of the reasons why I love it. And I use it.
Thank you. I think that is good. Yes. So it's a built-in travel cushion, but that travel cushion is also TSA compliant. So we've all heard at the airport, whoever left your laptop, your iPad at security, come back. And if that's yours and you're in business, oh my goodness, or even if it's personal, just shoot me now. But this way you can have your electronics in this sleeve. It'll hold up to a 15-inch device. It's outside of your bag, so it can go through the scanner, and they're not going to be upset that you need to take it out, but it's still attached, so you're not going to accidentally leave it behind. And you're right, you're working remotely, you're on vacation without electronics in it. You sit on the pad, now the bag's behind your legs, or if you're working at Starbucks, and I used it on that long flight to Saigon. I was sitting on it, and it gives you that extra leg room because it's not underneath. And if you need something, you just reach down and get it.
Right. Yeah, I love that idea. And so there's a few other scams I'd like to cover as well. And one is you'll find this in popular tourist areas is somebody will come up and take your picture. Okay, first of all, they're going to want money. And also, if somebody comes up and says they want to take your picture, go ahead and hand them the camera. Don't do that because they can run off with your camera. The same thing is with your phone. Don't lose possession of your phone. You want to take a picture, do a selfie picture, but be careful because we also have high numbers of selfie deaths because people aren't looking and paying attention to where they are. And sometimes they're falling off of cliffs. They're in traffic and things like this. It's really important to understand your situational awareness, making sure that when you do take that selfie, you're looking around before you do it, making sure that you understand any dangers in your vicinity. And also another scam to avoid is anybody that wants to give you something. Oh, you're a new friend. I really want to give you this bracelet. Let me give you this bracelet. And of course, once they tie it on and you can't untie it, they're going to want some money. So make sure that you don't accept any gifts from any strangers because it's just part of a ploy. Another one to think about is, making sure that you have an offline map on your phone, because sometimes you might find yourself in a situation where you don't have internet and yet you need your maps. So before you leave, make sure you download some city maps of where you're traveling to and make sure that they're saved on your offline device. So this is really another important tip to think about. So we have so many tips today, but I
Carrie,
think
another tip of having this offline map. I am terrible at directions and what's north, south, east, or west. I literally will travel with a compass, an old-fashioned Girl Scout compass, but I also have it on my phone. So this way, oh yes, you need to go north. It's like, no idea. So I have that, and that's helped me so many times because I can get lost even in my backyard, it seems sometimes.
Right. Oh, geez. So that's a really great idea. And another thing, one of my favorite tools when we're traveling around is the stash band. Now, the stash band can go underneath your clothes. It's made of Lycra. You can put your passport, a credit card, your cell phone, put it underneath your clothes. That way, if you're in a really crowded area, they're not going to be able to get into your stash band to steal these items. If they end up stealing your purse or your luggage, at least you have the ability to get a taxi, get a hotel, and get out of the country without delay. If you do lose your passport, you could end up wasting thousands of dollars. It could be, let's say you lose your passport Friday night, you're flying out Saturday. Well, now you're going to be staying in that country until at least Monday because you're going to have to go and find yourself the embassy or the consulate to get an emergency passport to get home. So we're talking thousands of extra dollars that you don't want to lose. So once again, having a stash pan, being able to put your important documents away from hands that are out there is another really important tip. Now, I will make sure that I leave some of these really great resources at the end of our podcast. I'll make sure that I write it in the description. But I think we're at the end of our time. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me today, Bernadine. Do you have any last words?
On your passport idea, always take an extra passport picture. Typically, when you get your passport pictures done, you'll get a couple of extras. Take that with you, a copy of your passport, hard copy of that, Xerox it off. Have that with you someplace else, just in case things get stolen. I love the stash ban. Be aware, look around, enjoy yourself, follow things from global secure resources. You always have such fabulous information.
Oh, thank you so much. And so that's it for today. And we'll be back with another episode to increase public awareness, to reduce the dangers faced by citizens in their daily lives, whether traveling around the corner or the world. And please visit us at Global Secure Student for more information about our community awareness and prevention programs and how to keep safer in everything you do. So thank you again. We'll see you.